a new camera tonight.
Yes.
With the intent that we will work on having better resolution for future videos.
And let us know how the sound is on y'all's end.
Yeah, please with the sound, because we're using the same sound or the microphone on the new camera.
Yeah.
And so if you guys are out there going, they look great, but we can't hear them, or we can hear them great, but they look, well, never mind. Just go with the first one. If you're having a hard time hearing us, please let us know, but that would assume that there's some of you. I see one person has joined us so far. So real quick, we are in process.
Yes.
People who signed up for the emotional intelligence event have already received their videos.
Yeah.
And so,
nice. Awesome.
Thank you, Bethany.
Thank you. Yay, good.
The people who signed up for the emotional intelligence event received their videos yesterday?
I think Monday, actually.
Isn't yesterday Monday?
Yesterday was Monday, so y'all received them yesterday. Maybe I should leave. You got this, babe.
Remember the first night when we broadcast on a Monday night? Welcome to Tuesday night class, yeah. And everyone's like, "It's Monday."
It's Monday.
That was the first of this year, wasn't it?
Was it this year? I think
anyway, it was so funny. We're both like, "Oh, look, it's Tuesday night class," and
hi,
everyone's
Bethany.
Like, "It's Monday."
Hi, Rose. Good morning, Beth. Hello, Deborah. We're so glad y'all are here tonight.
Happy
and morning for Beth. So
I think some of you guys have signed up for the emotional intelligence event, which means you're probably already watching your videos.
Yes.
And so that means a week from tonight, after this class, you guys will join us live on Zoom.
Yes.
Which hopefully then we'll have all of our technology. Not only do we have a new camera, but we have a new microphone that we haven't hooked up.
Yeah, we'll see if we even need to. Because this camera, or I don't know how the microphone's doing on y'all's end, but hello, Deborah and Mandy. And I thought you said, Mandy, I thought you typed out, I'm arguing with Bethany because I just read it really quick. But you're agreeing with Bethany. Thank you. And then Joanne from New Zealand. Hello.
I'm grateful the links are working. Everybody, by the way, not just New Zealand, but everybody was having a hard time with the links, right?
Yes, yeah. So they're all on this end. And
I'm going to get some water.
Oh, yeah. All right. Here, I have some right here.
Okay.
Hi, Jim.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
Not really.
You watched some today, Rose. Oh, good. And Mandy, it's a really great series so far. Awesome. But not arguing with her. Yeah.
All new content.
Liza, all new content.
Yeah.
Yes.
All new
and some of it we've taught, but we recorded it with what we're teaching specifically for this.
Yeah.
This series. So
same thing, by the way, with the healing the heart that keeps you hooked.
Yeah.
Dealing with emotions that keep us in compulsive behaviors or keep us from starting or stopping habits.
Mm-hmm.
And almost all new content, stuff that we teach our clients often, but not necessarily things we've done classes on.
Yeah, I'm excited about that.
So, me too.
And hello, Ken. Good to see this live. Yay. You're I'm finally on a Tuesday night at home.
Yes.
So glad.
All right. So tonight, we continue to be in a series called Cultivating Culture.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea has been all along that, over the last 2 years now, we've really watched what happens when crisis affects the world, when crisis affects our country, and crisis not only in terms of pandemic, but, you guys all know that our elections this last year were accompanied by quite a bit of disruption in a number of different ways. And one of my wishes had been that the leaders of our country, whether political leaders or spiritual leaders, would have taken some time to really just walk our culture through what it would take to maintain health and unity and strong relationships, and do the things that it takes to keep the crises from deteriorating the connection of human beings in the world.
Yeah.
And so since I thought, well, since I want that so badly and I don't see anyone doing it, maybe we should take a stab at what are the things that we think would matter.
Yes.
So we talked about conflict resolution. We talked about dealing with polarization. We've talked about communication and recognizing manipulation and communication. And we've spent the last couple weeks, critical thinking. Spent the last couple of weeks working on emotional health, all things which we think are just crucial to maintain the emotional health, mental and relational health of our culture. Tonight, we want to talk about honor.
Yes.
It's a little bit of a switch in that it's not necessarily about emotional health, but absolutely can be very connected to emotional health.
Yeah.
And
so hi, Betty. And then April said, "You look good. Did you get more lighting?" Oh, we got a new camera.
And
yes.
because of that, we've turned the lighting down some because the camera seems to be so.
It smears out my skin, y'all.
I'm
just gonna walk around with the lights all the time.
It looks like a filter
from TikTok.
From TikTok or something like that. So we look young, don't we? Look young. It's okay if we don't, but in my mind, we look young.
Yeah, everybody nod.
So. By the way, the other thing is we just came from San Marcos where we did a freedom event, and that went really well.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, great people down there. Great church, Sozo Church in San Marcos, and really enjoyed that.
Yes.
And so, in the meantime, want to talk tonight about honor. And in particular, I think that honor is one of those things that, I'm trying to think how to say it. Honor is one of those things that quickly becomes lost in a culture of convenience. Mm-hmm. It's easy to do what's convenient. It's easy to do what gets things done or what seems to get things done. But I think when we lose honor, we lose a significant element of what makes our culture healthy and what makes individuals within the culture healthy. So I want to first of all say, and I know it says this in the introduction or in the verbal written part, but honor is both a way that we conduct ourselves, but it's also a way that we esteem other people. So I want to be the kind of person who conducts myself with honor, but I also want to make sure that I esteem others, Polly and you guys and anyone that I meet, whether on the road or anywhere for that matter, that I want to conduct myself towards them with honor as well. And so I want to talk about what that means, but I first of all wanted to say it's not only something I do, that we as individuals practice, but it's also something significant to relationships. Yeah. And part of why it is that I think that it's necessary for us to really keep a culture healthy in the face of crisis and conflict and the crazy things that come up. So both the way we conduct ourselves and the way that we esteem other people. Here's what honor really is if I were going to give it a definition off the top of my head, which is what I'm about to do.
Okay.
Honor is conducting yourself in such a way that value is given to the person or persons that are the objects or subjects of honor. So it's really about an expression, a consideration, and therefore an expression of the value of a human soul. So for me to say I'm going to conduct myself with honor means that I recognize that there's an integration to my soul. There's a value that God made me a certain way, and I want to conduct myself in an integrated way in accordance with who He made me to be, without compromise, without there's a word I'm looking for and it's not there tonight, so I apologize. But just to conduct myself with integrity or honor.
Without judgment, Yeah.
Secondarily, then same thing to do with treating another person that way. In other words, to recognize that every person we encounter, whether we see them face to face or whether we're in the same lane of traffic that they too are people of value. And it's our place as people of honor to also then conduct ourselves towards each person as if they're a person of value. Think for a little bit about the anonymity of the internet and the fact that on social media there's such a kind of vitriolic response that we have to people. And the idea of that is, in my mind, that's the opposite of honor. People are willing to look at a name or a person online and willing to treat them as if they are less than themselves or as if they're less valuable in some way, either because of a belief system, a position they've taken, whether they've spelled out, a particular philosophical underpinning that they have, whatever it might be. People are very willing to dishonor other people. There's name calling. There's, the implication that someone with a different belief must be bad, dumb, stupid, weak, a number of different ways that we consider them. But honor has the power then to restore the fabric of culture, because it means that we all recognize that we as individuals have value and others have equal value. So honor, let's talk first of all about conducting yourself with honor. I said a couple minutes ago that really the world will present you an easy path. Circumstances will, and I don't mean the world as in, the world out there, that evil world, life and circumstance will present you with an easy path that may mean a little bit of compromise, may mean a little bit of kind of short selling what's right versus what's wrong. And it's just convenient or easy to get things done a certain way. But honor would say, regardless of who's looking or who's not looking, you conduct yourself in such a way that you're congruent with the person that you're made to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so for me to conduct myself as a person of honor is going to overflow into the ways that I esteem other people. But it first and foremost says that I am a person of value, not highly inflated value, not underflated value, deflated value, but a person of value simply because I'm created in the image of God.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of being created in the image of God, I'm going to conduct myself in accordance with that belief that that's a value. That's what makes me valuable. Therefore, life is valuable, and the life of other people is valuable. My thoughts, my feelings, my stance in the world is valuable, and those things matter in such a way that I'm going to conduct myself with honor. In other words, with integrity. But then let's talk a little bit about honoring other people, because there's some real. This is where I think we really get in trouble, because I think a lot of folks think, well, it's easy to honor myself if that means overinflating yourself. But honoring yourself, as I said, really, I believe has more to do with acting with integrity. Honoring other people really fundamentally has to do with recognizing that they have the exact same value that you do. Now, often people kind of think of themselves in relation to, well, I have a position that's of value. Your position is different. And depending on what's different about it and why it's different and how strongly you express it, I am going to esteem you as less than me as a response to your opinion, as a response to your stance, as a response to your stated set of, philosophical beliefs. And what honor would say is, regardless of what's coming at me out of your mouth, I'm going to look for the part of you that's created in the image of God and treat you in accordance to who you really are, even when you're conducting yourself as someone other than who you might actually be. And so someone can be dishonoring to me, and I can still respond to them out of honor. Now, in just a minute, I'm going to talk about the verse that talks about honoring your mother and father. And in doing that, I'm going to specifically make a reference about honor doesn't always mean being kind to everybody. I'll be real specific about that in a couple minutes. But I specifically want to say that honor regards them as valuable. Honor regards them as equally valuable, so that regardless of title, position, income, social standing, what kind of car you drive, what kind of clothes you wear, regardless of any of those things, every human that you meet has equal value to you, because we were all equally created in the image of God. Obviously, it could go without saying, but I'm going to say it. The same thing's not only true about social standing and socioeconomic standing, but the same thing's true about ethnicity. The same thing's true about finances. The same thing's true about race, religion, creed, et cetera, that honor is something that's due one another simply because we're all created in the image of God. Now, let me leap over and talk about the verse that says, honor your mother and father, because if you do so, you'll live long in the land. But I want to say that in a specific context, because in my setting, the place where Polly and I work as counselors, a lot of times people come and they have lived under the rule of abusive parents. If not abusive parents, maybe abandoning parents, or parents who are controlling in some other way. I guess control is always related to abuse. But yeah. Anyway, thanks. Phone call that we needed to take.
Yes, sorry about that. I did not mean to dishonor anybody by getting out of the video. Please excuse me.
She was honoring a need that we had in answering that phone call.
Yes, I was honoring my husband.
So, whoa, that felt odd. So when people come to us, and what they believe is we're supposed to submit to our mother and father, even though I may be an adult with my own children, I may be married, and et cetera, and what they translate that phrase, honor your mother and father, as if they're supposed to submit to them and continue to be in a position or a posture of receiving abuse or being abused by somebody. So here's how I translate that. And this is really literally, I want to broaden this or allow you to generalize beyond just honor your mother and father. So that when I say that honoring people means granting them value, what I want you to also understand is that doesn't mean granting them power over you.
Yes.
When you honor somebody, you grant them equal value, not power over you. But specifically, when people ask about, the verse about honoring your mother and father, which often again happens in the context in our office where someone's saying they've been abusive for years or they've made these demands for years. What I'll say is, so what if honoring your mother and father means giving them what they're asking for? Mm-hmm. If honor has to do with giving value to somebody, what if you value their requests, whether overt or covert? So the overt request might be an overt request that you must do what they tell you to. But, by saying that, the covert statement is, I think that I'm more than you, and I'm going to ask you to, submit to me. Essentially, they're saying, I don't want to be in a healthy relationship with you. Mm-hmm. Give them that. Honor them by giving them what they're asking for, which is, I don't want to be in a healthy relationship with you. If what they're saying is the only way that I'll be in relationship with you is to be in an unhealthy one, then honor them by not being in relationship with them.
Yes.
Now, sometimes what that means is a more distant relationship. Mm-hmm. Sometimes that means there's a range of distances that you may find in relationship. But fundamentally, when someone has been abusive, cruel, demanding, controlling, and a variety of other ways of mistreating you, you can honor them by giving them the absence of relationship that they're asking for. Mm-hmm. That makes sense to everybody?
I think, Mandy, I honor my mom by drawing boundaries for my mental health. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What you're saying is, I honor the fact that you're somebody who would be dangerous or harmful to me. And I honor that by limiting the harm that you can do to me. Mm-hmm. by conducting yourself in that way. Now, let me give you kind of the flip flop of that. And I looked it up. So let me get my phone for just a second to see if I still have that verse on here.
Okay.
It's in Matthew somewhere. Yeah. So Matthew 10:41 talks about when you receive a prophet in the name of a prophet, you earn a prophet's reward. I've heard it also said when you honor a prophet, you earn a prophet's reward. And again, I want to generalize that to say, think about the words receive and honor as similar, maybe not synonyms, but similar. And what Jesus is saying is when you receive a prophet in the name of a prophet, or another way to say that is you accept them as who they are, mm-hmm. right? You say to the person standing in front of you, Sir, I perceive you are a prophet, as the woman said to Jesus standing at the well, right? Sir, I perceive you're a prophet. She's receiving him in the name of a prophet. And Jesus goes on to say, when you honor someone in the name of how they present themselves, you also tap into the benefit of their life. Now, I'm low-key borrowing this teaching from Bill Johnson just to be overt and to lead to the next part of my teaching. But I've heard Bill Johnson teach that in a number of different settings, that when you receive a prophet in the name of a prophet, another way to hear that is when you credit someone as who they claim to be, as someone sent by God or gifted by God, or even just someone who's a gift to you in some way. When you honor them or receive them in that way, you also earn their reward. Let me just say this. If Polly is a gift to me from God, and she is, and I treat her other than that, if I treat her as not a gift, if I'm not grateful for her role in my life, if I don't treat her as somebody of value, what happens is the reward that's hers by being who she is, I actually lock that out of my life by dishonoring her. But when I honor her and treat her as a gift from God, that means that what she brings into the relationship, I also benefit from. So the reward she has because of the work she's done, the healing that she's walked herself through, and the gift she brings to this relationship, then when I honor that, I also tap into the flow of that and receive the reward from that. Let me be sure that makes sense. Did that make sense to you?
I think it made sense. I think it needs to have just maybe another, or go a little bit further in that picture, because it's not a manipulative tapping into. It is that because he honors himself, and then he extends honor to me and honors me.
Yeah.
And then,
I can see what you're saying about manipulation. I think it couldn't be manipulated
and be honor.
Absolutely. And I don't think it could be manipulated in work.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like saying, oh, I'm going to pretend to honor you and benefit from that.
Right. But you don't honor me so you can benefit. Yeah. You honor, and the gift is benefiting.
Yeah. And if it's pretend, then there's no benefit for me. Like the spiritual thing that would be mine as a result of honoring you wouldn't be mine as a result of kissing up to you. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So not only would it not be honor, but I don't think it would produce the prophet's reward, if you want to use that.
Yeah.
This might even make more sense.
Yeah. So April's saying you need to go a little bit further because she doesn't get it.
Yeah. So. Let me flip this on the other, on the other end and see if this helps make sense of that. This has been one of my stances for a long time. A lot of you guys know that the world and various forms of publishing often deal with an issue of plagiarism. Not only publishing, but like even as content creators, one of the things we discover is that sometimes out there, people will quote us, which is great, but sometimes people will quote us and put their name on it. Now, in my mind, there's a difference between saying, I heard Bob say blank versus blank. They just say the quote versus, hey, blank, and put your name on it, or put it on your Instagram account as if it's you, or put it on your Twitter as if it's you. One says, I'm giving credit where credit's due. One says, I'm going to make the statement but not take credit for it. The last one says, not only am I making the statement, but not just by implication, even by direct statement, I'm going to present it as if it's mine. That to me, so there's laws about that in the publishing world, right? There's legalities to that. And within certain, degrees, using someone else's material and presenting it as your own is illegal. Now, here's the bigger issue, though. I think laws are intended to enforce something that's inherently either right or wrong. And I think the much larger issue in plagiarism isn't what the law says, but rather what would constitute genuine honor. For instance, a minute ago, you heard me say, I'm actually borrowing this teaching from Bill Johnson. I try to be a real stickler to, if I quote a teaching, a concept that I got from somebody else, here's the real key. It's not a question of the law says I should give credit. In my heart, I've received a gift from those people.
Yeah.
If I quote somebody back to you, I've been changed by what they have, by revelation they've gotten, by learning, by their hard work and study, whatever it is. I've been impacted by that. And honor would say, I value that in them. And I actually think I get more value out of it for me if I credit them and hand it to other people. The inherent, both spiritual, emotional, and whatever other reward comes from that is multiplied, as opposed to if I steal someone else's material, present it as my own, and other people are changed by it, but they believe it's me. I think in the spiritual world, I'm actually going to pay a price for that.
Absolutely.
Not only will I not benefit from it, but it's going to cost me something in my own integrity and in God's willingness to entrust me with revelation. And so I've always been a stickler, even before people ever started quoting me, before I ever said anything that someone considered quote worthy. I've always felt like, if I learned from Neil Anderson, if I learned from Roy Hession, if I learned from John Sanford or Bill Johnson or Jack Taylor, all people who've influenced me in my life, if I learn from them, I want to point others to them, not to me. So, a variety of different things that I teach may be my own derivative of what I got from someone else. But I'm pretty much a stickler to say, I want to honor those who've given a gift to me that I've been able to take in and make a difference in my life. And I'm honoring them to say, hey, Bill Johnson said, or I read in Jack Taylor's book, or Roy Hession said in his book, We Would See Jesus. As I quote those different people, I'm not just trying to abide by the law. I'm really trying to function as one who both functions in honor and gives honor, because I think there's an integrous piece of that. But I also think I want to point you, a listener, a reader, somebody who's either reading a blog or a post or a book that either one of us has written. I want to point you not to me as the source of something that I'm borrowing from somebody else, but I want to point you to that person and the whole body of their work. And for me to steal a phrase or an idea or a quote and only give it to you as if it's mine, I'm actually robbing you of the benefit of the whole body of their work.
Yeah.
Let me just be really blunt. Unfortunately, the Christian publishing world over the last several years has had multiple examples of massive amounts of plagiarism.
Some of people's very favorite people.
Yeah. Like I've actually heard quoted to me a theological stance that says essentially this: all truth is God's truth, so nobody ever gets credit for it. So there's a whole group of people who propose that as a theological belief system. And I just want to say, bull.
Yeah.
I honor people who put in the hard work both to write and publish and put material out there, but also put in the hard work to take the time to hear God. What I understand is that people who have received revelation have usually done so at a cost.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't pay the cost on the front end, sometimes they pay the cost for receiving that revelation. But you don't engage the path of being someone who receives, contains, and broadcasts the breath and therefore the truth of God without some kind of cost to you.
Yeah.
And when I take someone else's hard work
and revelation
and present it as my own, I'm robbing from all of us. Mm-hmm. So that's not the point of tonight, but I think it's a helpful illustration to show both, what honor would be. Honor would be, I want to point you to those people whose hard work and revelation really has put them in a place to be a gift to us as fellow believers. And I want to point you to them so you can go bypass me or Polly and go direct to them as people who also have received revelation that's of value.
I think there's also a gift to it, kind of going back to what you're talking about, like of honoring me and vice versa. There's power in when we honor, like say that somebody has touched, our hearts in a way that's just been amazing. And we honor them by giving them their, whether it's you and I, or it's an author or a musician or somebody like that. And I think what it does is it grows the body of Christ and is a beautiful gift that spreads out, because when you're talking about, it's like I'm giving, so if I credit Jack Taylor or Danny Silk or somebody, it's like it grows this community of believers that together we get to love and honor and encourage one another and celebrate each other as well. And it steals that anytime we try to take somebody else's true honor.
Honor powerfully weaves together the fabric of culture and community. Mm-hmm. And exactly what you're saying. To me, it's the gift of, there are some inspired, brilliant people out there who have contributed for years, in some cases decades or even centuries, for some of the old classics. Their hard work, sometimes blood, sweat, and tears kind of work. And so to honor them really does, as Polly says, build the culture, builds the community, and points you and I towards other people who have great value to give beyond just the simple quote that I might want to borrow.
And I think that also comes with, sometimes we joke if we hear somebody, so one of our students that we got to finally meet in person this weekend, she told this great story, and we're like, we're so stealing that, but we're joking when we say steal it, that we're so going to use that and she will get credit because it's her story.
Right.
But she told us the story. It's like, oh my gosh, what an incredible example. And then when we get to use the story, it's like, oh, this amazing woman, she gave us this story and we'll honor her, which, it's just this, honor is, gosh, I keep picturing it. It's almost like a ripple effect.
Yes.
Of just kindness and goodness and power. I think it's an incredible power that when honor is released and offered, that it's a gift for not only them, but also for you.
Yeah. And to back that up, here's what. So I think it's Mark chapter 5. If not, it's in the book of Mark when it says, essentially Jesus is in his hometown. And it says he could do no miracles except a few little healings.
Mm-hmm.
And the commentary that you get from that a lot of times is it says because they had so little faith, he could do no miracles. And so often when people teach about that passage, they teach about the absence of faith being the thing that restrains the power of God.
Mm-hmm.
But the verse right after that says this. So because they had so little faith, Jesus could do no miracles in his own hometown except a few healings, and they did not honor him as who he was.
Yeah.
I'm quoting it poorly, but it's essentially that. And the idea is that it's not just faith that reproduces power, but it's honor that distributes power. If somebody has been given a gift, an anointing, a revelation from God, and we honor them, we earn the reward of that, but we also earn the capacity to hand that off to other people and it still have the juice on it that it had originally.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's exactly right. There's a ripple effect to that says when we honor someone else, so it can be anything from I honor that author, that content creator, to, we honor those people who brought us in and, partnered with us at their freedom event this last weekend. And we honor the individuals who did that. And we honor the people who, on these live streams that share these videos. And we honor,
I honor the cashier that, checked us out at Buc-ee's.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Buc-ee's.
Yeah. We honor everybody we come in contact with.
Yeah. So there's a powerful force that maintains and multiplies the fabric of culture, community, and connectedness. Like how I got 3 C's out of that.
Clever.
And that force is honor. It says that I'll conduct myself with honor, but I will look at you and give you the same value, the same validation, the same position that I have because you too are created in the image of God. So whether, as we've just finished talking about, whether you're a content creator or a cashier, 2 more C's.
Mm-hmm. Clever. Did you hear my C in there?
Certainly. Except that wasn't a hard C. That was a soft C. I certainly comprehended the.
Okay.
Anyway, so
it's clear.
How do you keep doing that? Anyway, that's really amazing. You're really good at that. See what I did there? I'm honoring her ability.
And it feels weird.
It feels weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, regardless of, go ahead.
No, she has a great question. Can you be angry with someone and still honor them?
I think so. And again, honor doesn't mean we don't have emotions. Honor doesn't mean that we don't see something that's harmful. Honor doesn't mean, but again, sometimes I think, for instance, I think that Paul, in writing about the various people that he told the leaders to send out of the church, I think he was honoring what they asked of that. Mm-hmm. When you're harmful to people, it's honoring to them to kick them out of a community where they do harm. Mm-hmm. And because it's giving them what they have asked for with their behavior and or their words. Can you be angry with somebody? I think so, in the sense that, I can be angry with somebody and still conduct myself as if they matter. Mm-hmm.
There's something I say. It's like, I love you so much, I'm no longer going to let you treat me this way.
Yeah.
I honor you. Or I love myself so much, I'm no longer going to let you treat me this way.
Yeah.
I honor you with giving you back to you, because for some reason within our connection, there is conflict. And we've, if we've tried to, have conversation and communication that, is hopefully moving toward, if there's a point where it becomes abusive, continually confrontational, keep with our C's. And, and it's like, I'm going to honor you and I'm going to set boundaries. and let you own yourself and give you back to you and not carry your pain anymore.
Yeah, I've mentioned this example before, and then we'll kind of wrap up.
Yeah.
But I've mentioned this example. Every now and then people disagree with me online. It's weird.
What?
I know. It's hard to imagine.
My gosh.
But every now and then people think I'm kind of out there with my doctrine. And I've had a number of people, posts, often snarky or kind of insulting responses as if, I'm way out there. But they don't just say, hey, Bob, I disagree with you. I think that shouldn't be interpreted that way. Or I think there
Can
are
I ask you a couple of questions?
Right. Yeah. What I get is, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Or who do you think you are interpreting the scriptures that way? And, one person said, well, sure, you can say that if you want, but I hope you know you're just making it up. And I'm like,
he loves those, actually.
Yeah.
He's like,
so what I do is I come back and I usually call them by name, their name.
They don't care.
So if it's Steve, I'll say, hey, Steve, I don't think I know you. My name is Bob. And I'm curious about, and I'll ask them questions about their position and or questions about whether or not they know why I believe what I believe. Mm-hmm. And what I want to do is I want to engage in an honoring two-way conversation. And some of them get pretty snippy. And yes, April, I can get angry.
Yeah.
But in my anger, I'm not going to become dishonoring.
Right.
In my anger, I'm still going to use honorable language. I'm going to still use their name. I'm still going to ask questions. I'm still going to engage them as if they're people of value who are just either wounded or in some way they come out with snark because of something other than who they truly are in Christ. Mm-hmm. And so I hope it's possible because I get angry. And I think I'm still, even in my anger, still able to give people a sense that I'm not devaluing them. And even will try to value them as much as they'll allow that to happen.
And eventually, when the ones that don't, you either set boundaries with them.
Yeah.
It's like, it seems like this conversation will not be healthy for either one of us. So
yeah,
anger's not in
yeah, can be. It's not inherently sinful. So important for people to understand that, even with the emotional health material, anger is not inherently sinful. God gets angry. Mm-hmm. You saw Jesus get angry a couple of different times, and anger itself isn't sinful. It's how we choose to manage and express it. Mm-hmm. So nice. Yeah. So guys, honor is really a way of both seeing yourself and seeing other people that allows us to express value and to connect to each other in the distribution of love, kindness, and the power of God, really. Mm-hmm. How's that for a definition?
That's good. I like it.
And it's both a way you conduct yourself. I want to conduct myself honorably, but it's also a way that you esteem other people. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you receive crap from them.
That's right.
You can set a boundary and still honor somebody. And you honor them by giving them what they're asking for, either overtly or covertly. Mm-hmm. As we learn to honor, I think we still can preserve, if not even restore, elements of our culture that we might be losing.
Yeah.
So you guys watch this week for opportunities to give honor to someone who's not even expecting it, mm-hmm. and watch how they change when you do. Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, have a great week. And we will see
our
students that graduate this Thursday, graduate. And then next Tuesday, we start our emotionally intelligent.
That's right.
Class.
Next Tuesday night, right after our Tuesday night classes, we'll spend an hour and a half with you guys who are doing the emotional health stuff.
Yeah. So if you haven't signed up for it, there's still, you can still sign up for it and you have time to watch the videos before the next Tuesday. And then we have our other, the Heart That Keeps You Hooked, which is our 2-day event. That is the 23rd and 24th, or 24th and 25th in October. It's a Friday, Saturday, so you can just go to tdacad.com and go to events and check it out.
22nd, 23rd.
Wow, 22nd, 23rd. Yeah. I was totally off.
Had to look it up.
So, yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys, and have a great night, and we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you guys next Tuesday.
Bye-bye.